Let's take a look at order of operations again. This time we're going to be talking about order of operations to assign numbers, but it doesn't matter because in math, order of operations are always the same. And as we've already seen, this PEMDAS idea, remember we want to do all of our grouping symbols first, or everything inside grouping symbols. Any exponents, multiplication and or division, whichever one comes first, and then addition or subtraction, again, whichever one comes first. So since we've already covered this topic before, let's just do a few examples to see how this works. Our directions here would probably be simplify or evaluate. So let's say we had 4 minus 6 times 5. Okay, always going down our list of order of operations. First thing, grouping symbols. So do we have any grouping symbols? Again, you kind of say, yeah, we have parentheses up here, except for there's no operations inside those parentheses. So those aren't parentheses. It's just there to group those, or to hold those two numbers together. All right, I don't have any exponents. I do have multiplication or division. We're going to do the first multiplication or division we get to, so that's 6 times the 5. So we have 4 minus 6 times 5 is 30. All right, no more multiplication or division. We now have addition or subtraction. So here we have a positive 4 and a negative 30. One's positive, one's negative, so we're going to take the difference between the two and keep the sign of the larger. The 30 was negative, so our answer is negative. All right, let's try another one. Let's say we have 2 times 3 minus negative 6 squared. All right, so again, we're just using our order of operations. First thing is grouping symbols. Well, again, we don't really have grouping symbols. We do have parentheses here, but there's no operations on the inside. Each one of those parentheses is holding a single number. So moving down, exponents. We do have exponents. Now, the number one mistake that students want to do here is they see this double negative, and as we saw in the past, a double negative gives us a plus. But that's only when we're adding or subtracting. So that's going to be our very last step here. The first thing we got to do is do this exponent. So everything else gets copied down exactly the same. Negative 6 squared, well, that's negative 6 times negative 6, which is positive 36, and that minus is just out front. All right, we don't have any more exponents, so let's see, multiplication or division. We do the first multiplication or division we get to, so here we have multiplication. And again, we're down to just one operation, addition or subtraction. So here this is a positive 6 and a negative 36, so we take the difference between the two and keep the sign of the larger. In this case, the 36 is the bigger number. It was negative, so we end up with negative 30. All right, let's try several more here. Let's just make them a little bit more complicated as we move along. So what if I have okay. So simplifying this expression, we're going to follow our order of operations. So do me a second, or do me a favor, hit pause, see if you can figure out what this is, and then come on back. All right, let's see how you did. So following our order of operations, we do have grouping symbols this time, because inside this set of parentheses, we have an operation. So inside those parentheses, I have a positive 6 and a negative 9. So we take the difference between the two, which is 3. The 9's the bigger number, so our answer is negative 3. All right, no more grouping symbols because there's no operations inside of there. So the next thing we want to do is exponents. So we have this exponent out here, so everything else gets copied down the same. Now remember, the negative's not being squared here because it's not inside parentheses. Like this negative 6 was being squared, so it's minus. And 8 squared, 8 times 8 is 64. All right, so we have no more exponents. Now we got to do multiplication or division. We do the first multiplication or division we get to. So here we get 4 times negative 3. Positive times a negative is a negative. And our last step here is addition or subtraction. So this is a negative 12 and a negative 64. So they're the same sign, so we add them together, so that's 76. They were both negative, so our answer is negative. So we just added them together and kept the sign. All right, a little more complicated. Let's see. What if I had little more complicated. So once again, hit pause and see what you come up with. All right, so let's work this through together and see what happens. First thing, grouping symbols. Now, do we have any grouping symbols? Well, again, the parentheses over here only have one number in it, so those technically aren't grouping symbols, but this root, or the square root, does have an operation inside. So basically, we're gonna work inside this square root till we get that down to one number. So inside there, we have some exponents. Let's go ahead and apply those. That would be 25 minus 9, negative 2 cubed. Everything else just gets copied down the same. We still have one more operation to do on the inside there. Let's see, here this is a positive 25 and a negative 9, so we take the difference between the two and keep the sign of the larger. The 25 was a positive number, so our answer is positive. All right, so normally we would be done with our grouping symbol here because we have it down to one number. However, the square root is slightly different than the normal grouping symbols like parentheses because the square root is telling you to do something. So we still have one more step to do there. The square root of 16 is 4 because 4 times 4 is 16. All right, now we don't have any more grouping symbols. Moving down our list, we made it to exponents. All right, we have a couple of exponents here. 4 squared is 16 plus 4. Now let's see, negative 2 cubed. So to think about that, that's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Well, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So that's going to be plus negative 8. Okay, so now we don't have any more exponents. We don't have any multiplication or division. So we're going to do the first addition or subtraction we get to. So the first addition is just the 16 plus 4, which is 20. And then our last operation here is addition. So we have a positive 20 and a negative 8. So we take the difference between the two and keep the sign of the larger. All right, so the 20 was bigger, so our answer is positive. All right, so notice our order of operations are exactly the same as before. The only difference is we have sign numbers involved now. Let's try one more here. What if I said, let's get out of here, give us some room, let's go minus. All right, so hardest one yet. We're going to end on this one. So again, hit pause, take a second, see if you can figure out what this answer is, and then come on back. All right, let's see how we did here. We got a lot going on. So let's see, grouping symbols. We do have grouping symbols, and we actually have two sets of them. This set of parentheses has an operation on the inside, and this absolute value has an operation on the inside. That set of parentheses is just holding a number, so this technically is not grouping symbols. So for these guys, we do the first stuff from left to right we get to. So I'm going to work inside this set of grouping symbols. That's a positive 6 and a negative 2. We take the difference between the two, keep the sign of the larger. Everything else just gets copied down. All right, now we're done with this set of grouping symbols, so we move over to our next set of grouping symbols. The only thing we have to do there is one operation. That's a positive 6 and a positive 3 gives us a positive 9. All right, now with this set of grouping symbols, since it's an absolute value, we need to do one more step there. The absolute value of positive 9 is, well, positive 9. Okay, now we don't have any more grouping symbols, so we move down to exponents. So we do have a couple set of, look, I changed stuff. We do have a couple of set of exponents. Those are 3's out there. Let's see, 4 squared would be 16. Now, minus, what do we have here? Well, again, this is negative 3, negative 3, negative 3. If we do the first two, negative times negative gives me a positive 9, times negative 3 would be negative 27. All right, now we're down to addition or subtraction. We do the first addition or subtraction we get to, so that's going to be 25 minus a negative 27. Now when we're adding or subtracting, if we see this double negative, we need to turn it into a positive. So that's 25 plus 27. They're both positive, so we're just going to add them together. That's 40, 52. And since they're both positive, our answer is positive. All right, order of operations. This was a quick review because we've done it before. The only difference now is we are doing it with signed numbers.